This wilderness couple is setting out to hunt a massive grizzly bear. The enormous moose Brett and Ivy hunted earlier has nearly been eaten up, so they must take advantage of the bear hunting season to bag a grizzly for storage. On one hand, it will ease their food shortage, and on the other, the bear carries valuable parts that can fetch a decent profit. Though it's already spring in Alaska, the snow hasn't melted much. After waking from their winter slumber, the bears emerge ravenous. They crawl out of their dens and move from the mountains down to the valleys, desperately searching for food along the way. So these areas are Brett and Ivy's primary focus. Scouting the base of the mountain, they spot over a dozen moose. A single adult grizzly can devour 30 to 50 moose and their calves each year. So keeping these predators in check also means protecting the deer they rely on for survival. After staking out the area for a while, they find nothing unusual, forcing them to try their luck elsewhere. The couple hikes across ridges and valleys for hours, before finally discovering bear tracks on a slope. Judging by the paw size, they estimate the prey stands at least 8 feet tall. Having lived in the wilderness for so long, Brett knows exactly how dangerous this creature is. 8 years ago, while hunting with his father, they were attacked by a bear. The situation was dire. The bear had pinned his father down. Brett quickly pulled the trigger. The first shot hit its neck. By the second, the bear was already charging at him. Luckily, the third shot struck its skull, or the consequences would have been unthinkable. Brett's father suffered severe injuries to his head and face, nearly losing his life. They rode 5 hours on a snowmobile to reach the nearest hospital for treatment. To commemorate the incident, they had the offending bear taxidermied. Most people might be traumatized for life, but Brett wasn't deterred. He chose to remain a hunter. Of course, he's no fool either. He understands full well the need for absolute calm and caution when facing such a dangerous animal. Following the tracks for a long time, they deduce the bear must have climbed to the ridgeline. In spring, higher elevations are prone to avalanches. But to get closer to their target, Brett decides to venture into the danger zone alone. Unexpectedly, the loose snow on the mountain teaches him a harsh lesson. Before he even reaches the ridge, his snowmobile gets stuck in the snow, completely immobilized. Seeing no way out, Ivy climbs up to join him. Only through their combined effort do they barely manage to escape the predicament. This route is clearly a dead end, so they retreat the way they came. The next day, the couple returns to the mountain. Scanning the distance with binoculars, they spot fresh tracks, likely from another recently awakened bear. They quickly ride their snowmobile to the area. With tracks scattered all over the slopes, they painstakingly follow each one. Through relentless effort, they finally locate the bear. Its size is decent, and its fur looks beautiful. But with no cover, the bear spots the hunters and immediately bolts. It moves fast, quickly disappearing over the ridge. Not wanting to miss their chance, Brett and Ivy hurry to the other side of the mountain, hoping to intercept it. But when they arrive, the bear is nowhere to be seen. It may have changed course, or retreated into another cave. It seems today's hunt ends here. The following morning, the couple returns to the base of the mountain and spots the same bear again. They want to take the shot, but the distance is too great. 600 yards is too far for a guaranteed kill. As ethical hunters, they refuse to fire under such conditions. To get closer, they must ascend on foot. The risks are self-evident. Steep terrain, slippery snow, and fierce winds are just some of the hazards. If they encounter the grizzly head-on, to escape might be impossible. Yet for survival, they press on courageously. After a grueling climb to the summit, they find the bear has moved in another direction. With no choice, they keep ascending. The winds howl, and the snow grows dangerously unstable. A single misstep could trigger a deadly avalanche. But that's not the only peril. To reach their target, they must traverse a 300-foot cliff face. The height alone, combined with the snow, is enough to make their legs tremble, let alone the fact that after shooting the bear, they'd have to haul their trophy back the same way. After careful consideration, both agree the mission is impossible and abandon the attempt once more. Just as they lose hope, on their descent, They stumble upon a bear den. Brett examines it closely and spots the bear still inside. It notices the hunters too, peering out warily. Since this is Ivy's first time hunting a bear, and given her father-in-law's past accident, she wrestles with fear and hesitation. But having chosen this life, she must overcome these mental barriers. Finally, she raises her rifle, aiming at the den entrance 150 yards away. Adjusting for distance and wind, she waits for Brett's shout. The bear bursts out of the den, only after emptying the magazine. Does Ivy claim her first bear? With this meat, they'll last until summer, when they can fish for sustenance. Life in the wilderness is peaceful, yet fraught with hardship and danger. To survive, Brett and Ivy must confront powerful and deadly grizzlies. Their perseverance and bravery are admirable. When a shot is too distant for a clean kill, they refuse to fire, upholding ethical hunting principles. This reflects their reverence for nature and life. Southeastern Alaska's Kupreanof Island is a magical place where one can dance with whales. Hunter Daniel is preparing wolf traps. In the wilderness, the war between humans and wolves has never ceased. Since wolves have no natural predators in this region, their numbers are rapidly increasing. They ruthlessly hunt other animals, gradually disrupting the ecological balance. Hunters like Daniel, who depend on the land for survival, are hit the hardest. 2 days ago, he traveled 100 miles by boat to this area and immediately spotted wolf tracks. This proves they are everywhere. Local fish and game authorities once conducted a survey. There are at least 3 wolf packs in this region, each consisting of around 15 members. To maintain ecological balance here, each pack must be reduced by at least 1 or 2. As one of the few local hunters, Daniel willingly shoulders this responsibility. He packs enough gear and brings along his beloved dog, then takes a dinghy to shore. In this open area, he finds numerous wolf tracks. Wolves frequently travel the same paths, leaving behind distinct trails. If he spots a dried-up sapling by the path, it's likely a spot where wolves mark their territory with urine. His keen-nosed dog also detects the scent, confirming Daniel's suspicions. Setting traps in such locations drastically improves success rates. He retrieves a wolf trap, stuffing moss inside, then pries it open with his foot. Near the sapling, he digs a hole, just the right size for the trap, camouflaging the surface with dry grass. To avoid detection, using the same method, he sets traps in all suspicious spots, near likely watering holes, and along frequently used trails. Each gets one. Daniel brought 5 wolf traps in total, and all are deployed here. But this is far from enough. Returning to his main boat, to gather more equipment, he begins searching for another obvious trail. Deep in the dense forest, wolves also have their own pathways. Here, he mainly uses snare traps. The snare is made of thin steel wire, blending seamlessly with the undergrowth. When wolves dash through these passages, they're most likely to get caught by the neck. To stabilize the snare's opening, he fastens it with breakable twine and blocks both sides with small branches, forcing prey to take this single path. As is well known, wolves are highly intelligent creatures. Tricking them is no easy task, so traps must be set swiftly to minimize lingering human scent. After deploying all available traps, it's time to bait them. Daniel uses beaver meat that's been rotting in a bucket for a week, foul-smelling enough to lure wolves from afar. Placing it in water helps spread the stench downstream, carrying the scent even farther. To prevent birds from pecking at it, he covers the bait with stones. With this done, today's work is complete. Daniel returns to his boat to wait quietly for prey to take the bait. A few days later, he and his dog paddle back in the dinghy for their first inspection. The first trap, set near the shore, caught nothing. High tide had submerged it. The snare traps hidden in the woods fared no better. Though one was triggered, it remained empty. The good news is, the wolves did return. Approaching another snare, he finds it untouched since setup. Just as he expects to leave empty-handed, the next snare trap holds a wolf, a large male at that. In Old Tom's hands, such a prize would fetch thousands. Daniel's goal is to eliminate 2 wolves, so he hopes the remaining traps might yield another. To his surprise, a second wolf is indeed caught. A female of moderate size, losing 2 pack members at once, effectively curbs their rampant expansion in the area, fulfilling Daniel's mission. Selling both wolves also brings a tidy profit, eliminating a threat while earning money. A perfect win-win. With a sharp knife, he carefully slices through the creamy fat, separating fur from flesh. Rolling up the pelts for market, they'll soon turn into cash. The Alaskan range has entered spring, with ice and snow melting, and all things coming back to life. This means the wilderness couple's supply run will end in a few days, so they must make the most of this final stretch to boost their income. Overall, this year's harvest has been decent. They've caught quite a few sables, and even prized animals like wolverines and coyotes have occasionally contributed. If they can bag a few more beavers in the final days, this trapping season will conclude perfectly. Spring beavers have just endured an extremely harsh winter. Their fur hasn't started shedding yet, so the quality is nearly the best of the year. The valley's streams have mostly thawed, making it relatively easy to locate beaver lodges and their feeding beds. Following the riverbank, they come across a dam. The strong water flow suggests it's been abandoned. If beavers were still here, they wouldn't let the water run unchecked. The couple presses on. Fresh beaver tracks and gnawed saplings in the snow along the shore indicate active prey nearby. Not far ahead, a large feeding bed appears. In autumn, beavers store branches underwater to sustain them through winter. With luck, they can trap multiple prey here. They use Conibear 330 traps, powerful enough to ensure a quick kill. Traps are typically placed at entry and exit points of feeding beds and where beavers come ashore. The couple continues searching for clues to set more traps. Though the creek is small, it hosts numerous beaver lodges. Before long, they find a second feeding bed. After setting traps in strategic spots, they return home to wait patiently. Normally, traps are checked after 24 hours, but with just days left in the season, they adjust their strategy, planning to inspect them twice daily, until trapping ends. Hours later, they return to the creek for their first check. Initially, luck isn't on their side. Promising spots show no signs of prey, but the true allure of trapping lies in never knowing what the next trap might hold. Continuing their search, they reach the second site. To their surprise, they've already caught their first beaver in just a few hours. Discovering a new income source naturally delights them. Carefully retrieving the catch, they proceed to check the remaining traps along the creek. Today's luck holds. Another beaver is caught. As mentioned earlier, a single feeding bed often houses multiple beavers, so traps can be reused several times. Of course, they mustn't wipe out an entire family. A few must remain to sustain the population. Over the following days, they shuttle between camp and hunting grounds until the season officially closes. After retrieving all traps, Ivy finally has time to process the pelts. Starting from the tail, she makes an incision along the skin and carefully separates the pelt from the fat beneath. Unlike Old Tom, they don't tan the hides into finished products, but sell them raw. While this saves effort, it also means lower prices. All in all, this year's haul has been impressive. Numbers across all prey species are strong. Of course, their earnings pale in comparison to city dwellers, but the wilderness offers tranquility and freedom with few expenses. Away from human crowds, material desires naturally fade and comparisons vanish. As long as there's enough for food, drink, and taxes, life remains joyful. If you could choose, would you embrace such a wilderness existence? In Montana's eastern mountains, a unique money-making opportunity emerges each spring. As is well known, many buck deer shed their antlers around December. In winter, buried in snow, they're nearly impossible to find until spring melt reveals them. The perfect time to gather shed antlers. Brown antlers fetch about $20 per pound, used for knife handles or home decor. But if left undiscovered too long, weathering turns them white, reducing their value. Jack plans to spend a few days collecting enough antlers to fund his homestead expansion. Having tracked mountain lions here for years, he knows the terrain intimately. But antler hunting requires both skill and luck. They're not living creatures, and their color blends into nature. Even right underfoot, they can go unnoticed. Jack's advantage lies in knowing deer movement patterns, making his search more targeted. Crossing a small ridge, he spots his first antler of the day, in a patch of low pines. Judging by its bleached color, it's likely a year old. Based on size and shape, it's a single-drop antler. Now, Jack gambles. Can he find its matching pair? Past experience suggests if both antlers shed simultaneously, the mate should lie within a few hundred meters. Nearby, a stripped sapling with residual deer hair catches his eye, evidence of a buck rubbing its antlers. After rutting season, most bucks experience plummeting hormone levels, weakening the connective tissue at the antler base. The resulting itchiness makes them prone to shedding upon impact. Typically, antlers shed days apart, but occasionally, both drop at once. Right on cue, Jack finds another antler, a perfect match to the first. The correct formatted version should be: single antlers sell for $20 per pound, but paired, the rate jumps to $40. Such occurrences are rare, making this a stroke of luck. With this strong start, his confidence soars. He scales an open hillside, scanning with binoculars. Though taxing on the eyes, this method maximizes coverage while conserving energy. Soon, he spots his first elk antler on a distant slope. Without hesitation, he sets off. On flat ground, he treads carefully. Rattlesnakes and hidden bears demand caution. The climb is steep, over crumbling rock, testing Jack's endurance. But persistence pays off. The antler is his. A 6-point elk antler, roughly 10 pounds. $200 secured. Yet fortune isn't done. Less than 100 meters ahead, a second elk antler appears. Sadly, they're not a pair, or earnings would double. With daylight remaining, the hunt continues. Jack's luck holds. Antlers pile up until his arms ache. By the time he finishes scouring the area, he's collected 9, matching his personal record. Before descending, he carefully arranges his haul. Antler tines pose real danger. A fall could turn fatal. This isn't hyperbole. Jack's learned the hard way. 9 antlers weigh nearly 100 pounds combined, but the potential $2,000 payout makes the strain worthwhile. In the coming days, Jack will keep combing the area. If daily hauls stay this strong, his construction fund will grow rapidly. As he heads back to camp, he stumbles upon one final antler, the largest he's ever found, weighing close to 20 pounds. When luck strikes, nothing can stop it. By day's end, Jack's earnings total around $2,400. Does such income spark envy? When spring arrives in Montana's Yak Valley, it marks the end of Old Tom's 45th trapping season. In a few days, he'll take his entire winter's haul to market for sale. Now, with time still on his hands, he teams up with his older brother Jack for this year's grand finale project, crafting a traditional indigenous peace pipe. The primary materials include rare pipestone, chokecherry wood, hand-adorned ermine fur, and otter hide. Jack handles the pipe's carving, while Tom shapes the stem from chokecherry branches. The peace pipe, used by Native American tribes in religious ceremonies, peace negotiations, and significant gatherings, is a ceremonial artifact of exquisite craftsmanship. It plays a vital role in intertribal diplomacy. For instance, when 2 tribes seek peace or form alliances, chiefs smoke the pipe as a symbol of goodwill. No wonder it commands such value. To fashion the stem, a hole must be bored through the branch's core. First, it's secured on a woodworking frame. Then, a red-hot wire is repeatedly pushed through until the channel is fully cleared. Afterward, the bark is carefully shaved. Meanwhile, Jack begins carving the pipestone, based on his drafted design. Precision is paramount. A single misstep could ruin the rare material. Pipestone, a fine-grained catlinite, is found only in Minnesota, South Dakota, and Iowa, and can be legally quarried, solely by authorized tribal members. With such scarcity, there's zero margin for error. As Tom smooths and decorates the stem, Jack's wife Connie works on embellishments, using porcupine quills, and hides Tom trapped himself. The painstaking process explains why handmade pieces fetch premium prices. Few today retain these fading skills. Back at the workbench, Jack etches an otter motif into the pipe for artistry, while Tom adjusts the stem's thickness to accommodate wrappings. Applying glue as he winds decorative strands, the brothers relish this collaborative twilight of their lives. Jack, 3 years Tom's senior, has been his partner since childhood. Years ago, he sold his Idaho farm to settle near Tom in Montana, a rare bond in today's detached world. Connie puts finishing touches on the otter pouch, stitching floral bands and beaded bracelets onto the pelt. Porcupine quills flattened and dyed are traditional materials revered by tribes, like the Cheyenne and Blackfeet. Considered sacred, this craft has been passed down through generations of women. With the stem polished and feathered, and the pipe buffed to a shine, the brothers assemble their masterpiece. Testing it around a campfire, they confirm its flawless function and aesthetics. Priced at $4,000, will buyers recognize its worth? For Tom, winter's labors now transition to commerce. Previously, he sold goods at markets, but when the pandemic shuttered venues 4 years ago, he and old friend Will established a trading post. Despite its remote location, the post thrives on Tom's renown. Collectors gladly pay premiums for his work. Ahead of reopening, Will acquires a pure elk hide teepee at a steal. Its indigenous design promises strong curb appeal, so they erect it by the entrance, gathering the final 2 support poles. From the forest, they fell slender lodgepole pines, ideal for their straight growth. Montana's abundance makes sourcing effortless. Back at the post, they lash 3 poles into a tripod, then arrange the rest conically. The elk hide is draped and secured, with the new poles framing the doorway. To enhance visitor engagement, they add a tomahawk throwing range nearby. From trapping to craftsmanship to entrepreneurship, Tom exemplifies how traditional skills can yield both fulfillment and prosperity. In winter's solitude or spring's renewal, his life remains richly interwoven with family, heritage, and the land's bounty.